great. So everybody can hear okay, yeah? Okay, great. Okay, so we're gonna place the bolster crossways and then some support for the back of the head. I'm going for a bit higher support, so I'm definitely not letting the head swing back too strongly. But you can obviously let your head drop further closer to the floor if you wish. And then we lie back, so it's exactly the same as we did yesterday. So the bolster goes to about the tips of the shoulder blades, and you bring your head back. So you need to adjust the distance so there's space for the chest to open, arms out to the side. There's length for your neck, so between the head support and the bolster, depending on your neck length. And then we'll come into this pose, Supta Baddha Konasana. So you could also bring the soles of the feet together. And we'll just have a few moments to check in with today with these 5 aspects of mindfulness. Rather than being so systematic, I'm going to work more as it were spontaneously. So I'll pick on them, draw them out. But I think we got it pretty clear now, those 5 aspects. So first of all, tuning in with the sense of your body this morning and how you've slept or not slept. So remembering that we're just bringing ourselves to the practice as we are. So each session, in a sense, is completely new, completely fresh. And it will be obviously very strongly conditioned by how we are in the moment, physically, mentally. So it's going to be different, almost for sure, from yesterday. Even though some of the poses may be familiar, your body will respond differently. So closing the eyes and checking in with the overall experience in the body, the overall global awareness of the body. Noticing where there might be some tension, and then starting to notice where the pose is working more specifically across the pelvis, maybe across the chest area, upper back or mid back. Also asking yourself how you feel this morning. So just beginning to allow this sense of curiosity to grow in relation to how you are this morning, not being too quick to judge or to come to any conclusions. It's more like a sense of openness towards your experience. Being aware that you're breathing. And seeing if you can allow the exhales to calm the body, release, soften. Letting go of any obvious superficial tension, maybe across the groins, in the chest area, upper back. And just letting go. So we're letting go into this first pose. Softening the hands, softening the fingers, letting the arms completely release. So we're going to be focusing into the upper back over these 3 days. Upper back, shoulders, neck area. Taking your attention into those areas. What's happening in the chest, the upper back, the upper chest? How does it feel this morning? Noticing what's happening around the shoulders. And into your neck area. So just for the last 4 or 5 breaths here, I'd like you to extend your arms above the head along the floor, and then see if you can rest the forearms above your head. So they may be floating into space. So if that doesn't feel very comfortable, having the arms just floating into space, where you could bring the arms back, I'd just like you to try a slightly more intense version here. So the arms are folded above the head, resting back as much as they can. A little bit of shoulder extension. Feeling the change that elicits in the rest of the body. So you may feel the sides of the body more intensely. And then we're going to gently deepen the in-breath. So you breathe in more fully into the upper body. For 4 or 5 rounds of the breath, exhaling freely. Breathe in a little bit more fully. Breathing in a little bit more fully, allowing the out-breath to happen freely, spontaneously, deepening the inhale. Okay, then we're going to release carefully the arms, back down by the side again. So to come out of this, bringing the soles of the feet onto the floor, I'm going to slide, so not lifting the head, slide towards your feet, allowing the body to carefully come out of that, and then pushing the support out the way, coming into semi-supine, so staying close to the floor. Allowing the upper back to meet again with the floor in a more neutral shape. Okay, from there, rolling to your right side. And we're now going to bring the bolster lengthways. And it's like we've got the bolster underneath the chest area. So you want to, in a way, bring the floor up, basically. And then we slide both legs to one side. So you've got this like half kneeling situation. And then you turn the chest towards your support. And if you can, you turn the head away from the legs. You bring your chest down. You can just have the forehead onto the support. So it's a very gentle prone twist. Okay. You can completely relaxing into the support. So your legs are going one way, the head is going the opposite. You spread the elbows. Just check what's happening now. That's great. Yeah, this is a prone, what we call a prone twist. Yeah, most of the twists are done in supine, but with the help of the support, we can do a useful practice. So, okay, maybe this is not a particularly demanding pose, it's more of a resting pose, but the idea is to create a sense of quietness in the upper body and chest. So, with the chest and the belly resting against the support, that helps to promote this what's called the relaxation response. So, that shift in the nervous system from sympathetic to parasympathetic. So you can, as it were, breathe into the support. You know, to really allow the belly to expand into the support, the chest even expand into the support. Spreading your elbows. So the spreading the elbows is important in terms of getting a sense of quietness around the shoulders, the shoulder blades, the pectoral area, the front shoulder area. Again, tuning in with your body, sense of specific awareness of different areas where you can feel the body most evidently. And asking yourself, is it possible to release more fully into this pose? Expanding your awareness to include the whole body. Feeling the breath. So it's personally, I find this very restful pose actually. If you can really surrender into the support, to the floor. It's very gentle in terms of challenge on the spine. The emphasis being one more of releasing and letting go. Okay, from there, so again, not coming up too brusquely. So you bring your hands underneath your chest area, push up into all fours, and all we do is swing the legs to the opposite side, okay? So you're bringing your belly into the support, the chest into the support, the head turns, spread the elbows. Staying low to the floor. If turning the head isn't good, then have the head turning in the same direction as the legs or towards the support. Otherwise, we turn the head in the opposite direction. Spreading the elbows. Creating space between the shoulder blades. It's an area we're going to work into today. Connecting with your breathing and feeling the breath, as it were, or the resistance of the breath against the support, allowing that to calm the body, rest the body. Seeing if you can become more intimately interested in what's going on in the body. Is this something we can cultivate gently, starting to as it were, point your interest towards your body, what's going on in your body, exploring the sensations, pleasant, neutral, uncomfortable. And then again, from there, bringing the hands up underneath. So you can use them to lift, and coming up into all fours, we'll just push the support now out the way. So we saw these two poses yesterday. So we're going to come into quarter dog 1, quarter dog 2. So the first quarter dog is crossing one of your forearms across your mat, and then we turn to look underneath that folded arm. So I'm going to do my left. So the left folds, I turn to the left, and I swing the hips back. So this is quite important, as I was saying yesterday, so we don't overload the neck area, separating the knees a bit wider than the pelvis to show that angle. We've got that, yeah. So it's just another angle there. So the forearm is crossing, and feeling into where this pose works. Okay, maybe more around the underarm, and I suddenly feel that around the shoulder blades. Okay. So some weight going back into the pelvis. See, if it's very intense on the shoulders for whatever reason, you can bring your pelvis more and more back. You can almost come into what would eventually be a child's pose, which would be very mild indeed for the shoulder area, but that's okay. That's where you want to work, that's fine. Okay, so we can always adjust the amount of load that goes into the upper back and shoulders. On an inhale, we're going to come up into all fours. We're going to take the cat stretch, cat-cow a couple of times. So emphasizing opening the upper back, flexing the upper back, and then extending. And coming into the opposite side. So your opposite forearm crossing your space, adjusting the weight according to your body, the needs of your body this morning. So you could come right back into a very mild child's pose version, or bring your weight more forwards, weight going into the upper back more strongly. Tuning in with the sensations there around the neck, shoulder blades, underarm. Also being aware of the lower part of the body, the lumbar spine, which is going into can go into quite a curve here, into a extension. So if it feels like it's dragging too strongly on the lower body, draw the belly in slightly, roll the pelvis back slightly. So we have a longer waist area, flatter waist area. And then from there, coming into more force, and then we're going to push back into dog pose. Lengthening through your neck, so I suggest you lift the head in line with the upper arms. You can allow the heels to sink. Grounding evenly the palms. Pushing through from the palms back towards the sitting bones. And feeling the stretch in the back of the legs. So we're not really emphasizing much the legs in these sequences, nor the pelvis. Bringing some awareness there now. Inhaling, coming into all fours. So we take the quarter dog 2 version. So here we take, I'm going to swing to my left. So we take the right arm underneath. So just to show that, so you swing that through. So you're bringing weight into the outer shoulder. Again, you can separate your knees. And we use the left hand as a support, okay? Yeah, quite different really from the last quarter dogs. It's got a twist. We're working more the outer shoulder, working more with compression into the shoulder, pressure into the shoulder, rather than stretching into the shoulder. So again, tuning in with the sensations here, seeing where you can release. Minimal amount of effort. Minimal muscular effort. And adjusting the loading. So more weight that goes back towards the pelvis in the knees. Less weight is going into the head, shoulder, neck area. Focusing in on the sensations that are happening in this version of quarter dog. Is it possible to release more fully around the shoulders, the neck, with this yin style pose? So broadly speaking, the yin poses we're holding longer so that they work down into the connective tissue. So we're towards the bones. The connective tissue is this dense, relatively inelastic binding material. So the ligaments, fascia, tendon. And it's material that responds slowly to pressure or stretch. This is why we're holding the poses longer. With the more dynamic work, we're going to be emphasizing more working into the muscle body. And obviously in any yoga practice, we work all of the soft tissues, both the connective tissue and the muscle tissue. From there, carefully unwinding, taking 1 or 2 cat stretches. So we're opening the back, upper back, flexing the upper back, opposite sort of stretch, which you could combine with the cat cow. And then we'll swing into the pose on the opposite side. So we're now taking the Opposite arm down. Use your other hand as a stabilizer. Adjust the distance between your knees so you definitely feel stable in the pose. It's like an even distribution of weight across the lower body. Again, exploring around the upper back, shoulders. Where can I let go? Where can I soften? Where can I give in to that gravitational pull down? Sense of melting towards the floor, surrendering to the floor. Checking in what's happening in the neck. So with all of this work, with the upper body, you really want to be careful with the neck, not compromising or threatening the neck in any way. It's a delicate structure. And from there, carefully unwinding. Very gradually, we're going to move back into all fours and back into the dog pose. Emphasizing more the leg work there. So activating the legs, opening the backs of the legs. As we lengthen through the upper body, through the shoulders, head in line with the upper arms. So we're going to move down now onto the belly. So we're going to move into a sort of strengthening sequence now. So these poses are based around Shalabhasana. So I'd like you to start with the forehead down. Just check. Change my direction. So the forearms, the hands are down. The hands come to about shoulder height. Okay. Can separate or I should say more like chest height below the shoulders, elbows in. The feet can be separated. You can either touch the tops of the feet down to the floor or the toes. It really is up to you. And this is a movement where we lift the chest and we look on the in-breath to one side. So it's like looking back towards the back foot and then exhale down. So again, gentle with the neck. Inhale, and then we look across to the other foot, look back to the other foot, exhale down. So it's almost like the images of one of like a reptile lifting its head and looking around quite slowly, based on really an active Bhujangasana, cobra pose. The elbows stay tucked in. So we're lifting the chest and seeing if we can look back, at least with the corner of the eye, to the foot behind. So if you're turning to the right, looking towards the right foot, turning to the left foot. We'll do that a few times. So this is going to engage the spine muscles from the lower spine all the way up to the upper back. Slow Smooth movement with the breath. Hands, if you want to intensify this a little bit more, although it's pretty intense, you can lift the hands towards the end of the in-breath, place the hands down. So the hands are quite light, so that's going to emphasize more work in the upper back. So as you inhale, lifting the hands just towards the end of the in-breath and release down. Okay, one more time on each side. Keeping the feet grounded, remembering to separate the feet. There's a sense of a broad pelvis. From there, pushing back into all fours and taking a rest into child's pose. Releasing the head down to the floor, either supporting the head on the hands or the floor directly. You can take the hands back, the arms back. Feeling that work based on Cobra or Shalabhasana even. Allowing the spine to release, the belly to release, face, shoulders. Coming again through all fours onto your belly. And this is a completely quirky movement, which hopefully you'll be able to get. Maybe it's worth watching the first round. So we bring the backs of the hands onto the sacrum. And what we do is we exhale, we lift one arm forwards and look forwards. And then on the inhale, it's like you're doing like a salute to the side. That's on the inhale. And then you exhale back your forehead to the floor and the hand back to position, and then breathe in, doing nothing. Inhale. And then we go to the opposite side. So we exhale, lift the chest and the arm. We're coming into a Shalabhasana. Inhale, lift a bit higher, saluting to the opposite side. And then exhale all the way back down. Have a free in-breath where you don't do anything. You just relax the body, breathe in. And then we'll join in now. So as you exhale, one arm comes forwards, lifting the chest. Inhale, you look to the sides. It's pretty intense, this phase. Exhale, rest down. In-breath without doing anything, resting the body on the floor. Switch to the opposite side. Exhale. Arm forwards, inhale, turning like a salute. Exhale. Back down. Inhale, release. Breathing in. Exhale, back to your opposite side. So I'll just let you go with that a few rounds. In a way, the smooth, gentle, the smooth, decisive movements are what make this quite potent, quite powerful. So just remembering which face. As you exhale, reach forwards. Inhale, salute. Exhale, rest down. Inhale, a free rest breath. Resting the body. So again, we'll do a couple more. One on each side. Again, your feet can be quite wide, so there's a sense of a stable lower body, broad lower body, and then we rest. Again, coming through all fours into child's pose. Resting completely there. Letting go. So feeling the heat that generates. So the arms can be forwards, they can be back. You can release the arms. So the idea with those movements is it brings a sense of strengthening, mobilizing, but also a sense of harmony between what we could call the axial skeleton, which is the spine, and the appendicular skeleton, which is in this case, the arms. So it's helping to balance up, strengthen, and release the upper body. From all fours, coming up into all fours and then up into the dog pose. Let's emphasize working the legs again. So the heels descending, sense of upper body long, arms long, lengthening through the neck. And back to all fours and on back onto your belly. Okay. This is a slightly more intense pose. Just make sure you can see me. Okay, so we bring both hands again onto the sacrum, back of the palms. So this is done with both arms at the same time. So as you exhale, both arms come forwards. Looking forwards, as you inhale, you lift and open. Try and lift the chest more and exhale back down to the floor. So it's a bit like where you're doing both arms at the same time. Inhale, releasing breath. Exhale, both arms comes forwards. Inhale, lift a little bit higher, opening the chest. Exhale, release down. So again, 4 parts. You can separate your feet, sense of broad, stable pelvis and legs. We initiate the movement on the exhale. So exhale, the arms comes forwards. Inhale, lift and open the chest, gaze down. Exhale, release down. So you see if you can do 4 or 5 of those. Exhale, we look forwards, arms forwards. Inhale, look down, open the chest. Exhale, release. Take a breath. Maybe you need to take more than just one in-breath. Taking a pause there. Very intense work for the upper body. Remembering to initiate the movement on the exhale. So exhale, both arms forwards, gaze forwards. Inhale, looking down, opening the chest, elbows lifting. Exhale. Back down. Taking a breath. Do 2 more cycles. Remembering to initiate the movement on the exhale. Looking forwards, arms forwards. Inhale, looking down. Opening higher, the chest, and exhale back. Inhale, release. Again, coming into all fours. And pausing back, resting back into child's pose. So we've just done like 3 movements based on Shanavasana or Bhujangasana, depending how you want to look at it. For strengthening, mobilizing the upper back. Okay. tuning in with what's happening in the upper body. Sense of definitely working that area, upper spine, shoulders. Releasing the arms completely. The arms can be forward, the arms can be back. Sense of the heat and challenge of those poses, sensations, but broadening your awareness now, again out into the whole body. Sense of your mood, also aware of your changing experience, so how it might have shifted now from the beginning of the session. So we're in a different space already. And coming into your breath, so we're going to take 5, as it were, resting breaths. So allowing the body to rest with each exhale, each inhale. Following the next in-breath, we're going to come up to sitting. And I'd like you to look for this support that we used yesterday for doing a supported shoulder stand. So, if you're fortunate enough to have all the yoga blocks, great. Otherwise, you want really fairly firm cushions, okay? And depending on the length of your spine, you may go for like a higher raise, okay? 4 or 5 bricks. And then we lie down with the bricks to the side of the pelvis and then lift up onto the tiptoes, position the bricks or the support underneath the pelvis. So it's definitely supporting the pelvic area of the sacrum, not digging into the lower spine. And then I'd like us to emphasize opening the upper back. If that doesn't feel okay, palms down is fine. Let's see if we can just emphasize a little bit more opening of the upper back, getting the distance between hello? Everybody can hear me, right? It just dropped out. Yeah, everybody's okay? Good, okay. Okay. Little Zoom stitch. So I'd like you to raise the legs if you can into the shoulders, half shoulder stand. So we're emphasizing softening now and resting into the shoulder stand. Balancing the legs over the pelvis, the feet can be together. Sense of broad upper body. Expanding, as it were, the feet towards the sky. We've got to get a chance to really lengthen the toes here. Closing the eyes for a few breaths. We're going to take 20 breaths here. Okay, so we'll rest into this pose, checking that there's no strain in the neck. If that's the case, then it's advisable to come lower on your support. Tuning in with the specific sensations around this pose. Also aware of the breath, we can even count the breaths out. 20 breaths internally counting. Again, is it possible to release more fully in the pose without, as it were, collapsing? So here we're going to need a little bit of activity in the legs, maybe a little bit of activity in the upper back to upper chest to keep the chest open, so you don't collapse the chest down. Minimal muscular effort. Sense of the neck free and long, so the weight is going more into the tops or backs of the shoulders, not into the head and into the pelvis. So from here, we're going to bring one leg down and then the other leg down, coming back into the bridge, supported bridge. So in the bridge pose, again, we can re-emphasize this opening of the chest, palms facing up towards the ceiling, rolling the upper arms outwards. Just for a few breaths there, supported bridge. And then from there, lifting the pelvis, taking the support out to one side, lowering yourself down. Okay, coming into semi-supine. Coming into that neutral shape again, which might even be a relief after the shoulder stand. So releasing the neck, shoulders, lower spine. Okay, and from there, rolling to one side, you're going to come into a seated pose. This is a variation on what we did yesterday. So the seated, I'm going to just face you. So the legs are going wide, but then we fold in one leg. But this time we're going to turn towards the straight leg. So we turn towards the straight leg. Okay. Before we were facing out between the legs, but now we're going to turn towards the straight leg. So I'm going to my left. My left hand comes down onto the floor. The right hand comes onto the top of the left leg. And it's really quite a gentle movement. So we're emphasizing inhaling, opening, looking back, opening the chest. And exhaling, we're swinging back round. It's almost like we're a very gentle movement, really. So it's more like this relationship appendicular to axial skeleton. So being aware of a smooth movement as you exhale out and down towards the straight leg. As you inhale, movement out, moving head, shoulder, arm, harmoniously in relation to the spine. So we'll do that 8 times, 10 times on one side. Inhaling, opening. You can look back. Exhale, folding down towards your straight leg. Looking for a smooth, gentle transition, almost like a bordering into a sort of mindful movement. Okay, and then coming up and changing the legs. So you're turning now towards the opposite leg, in my case the right leg. Left hand comes down and across. So as we inhale, opening the chest, looking back, looking towards the left hand. As we exhale, turning towards the right leg. So no forcing, very gentle. Emphasizing the relationship axial to appendicular. So we're looking for sort of like a graceful transition. Again, 8 to 10 cycles. Once again, coming up to center, bringing the legs in and moving around into all fours. So we're going to do a little bit of now, as a way of weight bearing, weight loading. So the first movement's very gentle. So it's based on Vasisthasana. Vasisthasana. So the toes are tucked under. The first one, I'm just going to take my, I'm taking my right leg straight out to the side. So it feels very, very easy, this, okay? And then I bring weight into my left hand and I turn to my right. So I'm loading the left arm very gently. Obviously there's weight going into the right foot, the left knee, so it's like a tripod, and the left hand. Okay, so to be gentle with the neck, I suggest you look down or to the side, but don't look up, okay? So feeling the weight going into the palm, and then see if you can gently press the roots, the fingers down. So it's not just going into the heel of the hand. Okay, and then releasing down, all fours, back to center, and then you take the left leg out. The left leg is basically going out at a right angle as we turn now to the opposite side, weight going into my right hand in my case, left hand on my hip, I'm looking down, weight going into the whole of the hand, the whole of the right hand. Breathing there. So that we're emphasizing weight bearing into the shoulder. This also will create tone through the rest of the body. Breathing 5 or 6 breaths, really. And releasing. Bring yourself into a 4. So the second version, which still has a knee down, is to lengthen your right, so you go back to the first of the right foot. So you're all in one plane. Okay, so you may bring the left hand slightly back, but there's a more emphasis on balance here. Okay, so you want to bring the lower hand underneath the shoulder. So it'll be easier to look out to the side. Now, if you want, you take the top arm up. So I'm extending the top arm. And so if it feels okay in the neck now, you may find it easier. It's possible to look up, but no straining in the neck. And again, try to ground the whole of the hand that's on the floor. If it doesn't feel good on the neck, you can either look down or look to the side. Good, and then releasing down, back to all fours. And then we set ourselves up on the opposite side. So this time, bringing ourselves into one plane and turning, looking up, weight into the lower hand. Both arms active. And releasing down. And then the third version, this is going to be more challenging. So we'll come up into dog pose. So we'll do the classic. So you turn. So I'm going to turn to my right. So I turn the left foot onto the floor. See if I can bring the feet together and balance on the side of the foot. Again, you could look down. Try and keep the pelvis, shoulders, and ankles in one line. Breathing there. Noticing that shaking arm. Try and bring weight into the whole of the hand. Okay, that's enough for me. So when you're ready, you can come down and switch sides. We'll come from dog pose. Bring the outer edge of the right foot, toes slightly pointing towards the head. feet together and extend up both arms, bringing weight into the whole of the lower hand. Breathing, so the breath is going to probably be shorter, faster. And when you're ready, coming into back into dog pose. From dog pose into all fours. From all fours, resting completely down into child's pose. Rest the head, rest the arms. The arms can come back. Really softening around the shoulders. 3 versions there of Vasisthasana. Okay, and then coming to sitting up. So this next pose, you'll remember this from your teacher trainings. This is like the famous 8-point pose. Okay, so I'm just going to demonstrate. So we're going to come in, we're going to like drop into it from all fours. So the toes are tucked under. So the 8 points are the knees, the tops of the toes tucked under the hands, and then the chest and the chin. So the idea is to really make quite an arched spine. So we lower ourselves down. So the chin and the chest very lightly tuck down. So you can have a longer base. So I can slide the feet back if it doesn't feel comfortable on the neck. But the idea is to just gently resist the floor. Okay, so it's not one of the most comfortable poses, but it's kind of interesting for the upper back. So I'll just show how to come now, the upper back and shoulders. So I'll just show it to come into it again. Toes tucked under. And then you lower yourself down, but you're deliberately coming into a back bend. Elbows tucked in. Some weight very lightly going into the chest and chin area. Hips lifted. Pushing back from the hands. So we'll try that a couple of times on your own breath, on your own timing. If you can, holding the pose a little bit longer. And then releasing down completely to prone position. So just release yourself to the floor, letting go there. Let's just try that one more time. Let me just check to see what's happening. Okay, so coming from all fours and as it were dipping down. So it's like we're lowering the sternum towards the floor. Obviously you don't want to be throwing loads of weight into the chest here. So you're almost like hovering just off the floor. Finding as comfortable position as possible. The hips are definitely lifted, toes tucked under, although you can also practice with the toes flat on the floor. Knees down, hands down. So the 8 points is knees, feet, hands, chest and chin. And then to engage the pose more strongly, it's like pushing back from the hands towards the sitting bones. It's a pose that you can definitely come to appreciate, maybe not straight away. Okay, so from there, very carefully releasing down, come into a quiet prone position. You can support the head on the hands or just onto the floor. Release your arms. Again, tuning in with the effect of that pose, post-pose. Okay, so from there, coming into all fours, we're going to revisit again a pose we did yesterday. So this is more of an opening, releasing the shoulder hangs. So I'm going to use my bolster here, but you could use a pile of bricks, and in some ways higher the better. You could even use, I guess, a chair, the edge of a chair. It's just yeah. So higher the better. So we bring the forearms, or the elbows, should I say, onto the support. And we're going to do two positions, or three actually. So the most gentle position would be in like a child's pose. So my belly is coming down to my thighs and my head is resting onto the support and the elbows. Second position, slightly more intense, is the knees come back, but the forehead is still on the support. And then the third position is the head hangs, okay? So let's build this up. We'll start with a fairly gentle child's pose, forehead onto the support, elbows on the support. Getting a sense of your body used to that position. So yeah, Kashanta Kasmare, actually no, a couple of you are really demonstrating the chair use very well. Yeah, you definitely want a blanket on the chair, edge of the chair. So this can be done more mildly as we're doing now. Just take that for a few breaths. So it's extension through the upper back and shoulders. Try and support the head weight comfortably. You can really let the head go, neck go. Okay, then without disturbing yourself too much, see if you can take your knees back more. So it becomes more into an upper back, shoulder hang, still the head supported. Being aware of your knees together or separate, it's up to you. Whichever feels more stable, more supportive. We can not let the lower back hang down too much. So the pelvis, we can roll back. Okay, then carefully coming out, take a pause, releasing. So I suggest you come up into sitting position, just release the arms down by your side, so the spine in the vertical, or resting the hands onto the lap. Just intense work for the upper back and shoulders, neck even. And then if you want, taking this third version, so this is letting the head hang between the arms, if you haven't done that already. So here we want to walk the knees back, let the head hang. So the head is now not supported, it's just hanging into space. Obviously more intense it's going to be different as well. So it may be worth just trying it out. Completely letting the head hang there. So my elbows are fairly narrow. Checking that the sensations are not too intense. We're not doing any cutting off of circulation. So it's just worth bearing in mind that the main nerve of the arm goes through the shoulder. So one of the problems that can arise is when you get inflammation in the shoulder, as it pinches a bit like in the same way with the sciatic nerve. So the inflammation can pinch onto the nerve, which can cause pain or loss of sensation. So obviously we don't want to be deliberately stimulating that. We want to be working more into the connective tissue muscles. Okay, from there, again, coming back up into sitting back on the heels, resting the arms down by your side, feeling into the arms and the shoulders. So we're going to come into a penultimate pose here. So I call this like crossed arms. It's lying over crossed arms. Some of you would have done this with me before. So it's pretty intense on the shoulder area. So the idea is to cross your forearms or cross your elbows underneath you. So it's like it's not an easy pose to get in or out of. Okay, so maybe I'll just show. You definitely want padding underneath your arms. You let your arms splay out to the side as you bring your weight down. If you can, let the forehead rest down. Okay, so we'll take this just for a minute or two. The arms can be more up towards the neck area or closer down towards the chest area, really depending on your body, what your body allows you to do. But you're looking for a sensation of stretch in the outer arms, outer upper arms. Just be aware which arm is on top. So it's like it's the same position we did with eagle pose yesterday, Gurudasana. But here we're using gravity to work into the outer arms. So it's like lying over crossed arms, palms facing up towards the ceiling. Very kind of particular pose. Okay, so coming out is not necessarily that easy. So you kind of want to wriggle really to come out. Bring the elbows back in, and let's just come back up to all fours a moment. So you're going to recross the arms. So the other opposite arm now is on top. And very slowly lower yourself in. Not an easy pose to get into or out of. See how that feels different on the opposite side. So the opposite arm is on top. Staying connected with the sensations in the upper arms at the same time as releasing your lower body, pelvis, legs, releasing the head, the face. And once again, working out to leave that pose. It's like probably wriggling, drawing the elbows back into a more natural position and coming up into all fours. Sit back onto your heels. We're going to do just one last movement here. So I want you to take your arms out to the side, bring the tips, the fingers resting onto the tops of the shoulders. And we're just going to start with quite small movements, just to mobilize the energy again around the shoulders. You can start to amplify the circle that the elbows make, going in one direction, head centered. So you're definitely going to feel like you've worked the shoulders today, this morning. Each time going a little bit bigger with the circle, and eventually bringing the elbows forwards till they touch. And then circling back the other way, starting off with a small circle, widening. Again, moving towards the elbows touching in front of you. And then resting again, letting the hands come back into resting by your side or onto your lap. Closing the eyes for a moment. Connecting with your breath. So I'm going to move now into a relaxation pose. So I'd like you to get everything you're going to need to be comfortable there. Some support for the head. And I suggest you use the bolster for the backs of the knees. So you can come into a really neutral shape. Make sure you're going to be warm enough. So you could maybe layer up one blanket over the top. Okay, so I'm just going to, once you're lying down, just to remind you of these, there's 3 adjustments we can make on the spine. So once you're lying down, yeah, just gently lift the pelvis towards your feet so you lengthen the waist. And then I suggest you just gently embrace yourself, a bit like we had the crossed arm position in the last pose. And open that space between the shoulder blades and then release the arms down by your side or onto your body, it's up to you. And then you lift the head away from you, as it were, away from the body. So we lengthen the neck. So 3, lengthening the waist, broadening the upper back. It's like a self-embrace. And lengthen the neck. closing the eyes, coming into the last few minutes of the session, Shavasana, relaxation pose. So I'd like to tune in with the whole body experience to begin with, the whole body experience, getting a sense of what's happening in the whole body, as it were, at the same time. Being aware of your position in space. Making any subtle adjustments that you need to your alignment, so you can really feel that you can let go for a few minutes. Finding the right arm position. So typically we recommend palms up, backs of the hands on the floor, away from the body. But it may be more convenient for you to have the hands on the body, palms down. Now it's time to tune in with any specific aspects of your physical experience. So noticing where you can feel the body most strongly. So we've worked a lot the upper body today, second session. So noticing the shoulders, the neck, left side, the right side, chest area, upper back. And then tuning in with your state of mind, chitta, heart, mind. You could just ask yourself, what am I in touch with right now? What's happening on an emotional level? What am I feeling? So the yoga practice can leave us feeling quite open, quite vulnerable. It's also possible. Also can leave a sensation of confidence, calmness, stability, emotional level. But I'd just like you to have a look, each one of us having a look, seeing what's going on. And then being aware of your experience of one of change, on all sorts of levels, sensations changing, mood changing. Body itself is quite different every day, depending, as I said, on conditions, how we slept or how we didn't sleep, depending on the weather, what we ate, what we didn't eat. I'd like you to focus in on your breath for the next few moments. So really being aware of your body breathing, letting your body breathe as freely as it can. So letting the exhales complete, letting the inhales complete, without contriving the breaths, without forcing the breath, and just let your body breathe. Getting a sense of the effect of this sequence. So again, focusing on the upper body, some different set of poses there, some familiar ones from yesterday. Again, doing a mixture of releasing work, strengthening, mobilizing. In your own time, you start to mobilize the fingers and toes, taking awareness back out into the space around you. Also aware of the four of us here. We're in the internet space. And when you're ready, you can turn to one side. Thank you very much. I'm just going to stop the recording.